So the next ecosystem that we will be hearing about is City of Brampton from Canada. And we'll be hearing from Clare Barnett, their Director of Economic Development. Hi, Claire. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks very much for that introduction. And I'm not sure if my colleague Astawa has been brought up. He's got the presentation for us, and we'll change our slides, please.
Okay, I see her.
While we wait for the presentation to come up, I think it might be helpful if I just share a little bit about our city, where we are in Canada, so that you have that reference and that context. So Brampton is a city in the Greater Toronto Area. We have a population of almost 700,000 people. And we are Canada's second fastest growing city and Canada's youngest city with an average age of 36. We are physically, geographically located between Toronto and Waterloo, which is Canada's innovation corridor, if you're familiar with that. And that reference point means that we are really at the center of the innovation, whether that be research or manufacturing automation. And that gives businesses that are in Brampton and our innovation district access to over 20 universities in the province of Ontario. So hopefully that provides you a little bit of context. I would also want to share with you that we are incredibly diverse. There are over 234 cultures represented in the city, with over 115 languages that are spoken. So what that means is that there is an incredible focus on cultural diversity, diversity of approach, diversity of thought as well, which, as we all know, is incredibly important in this type of work. I would like to point out in this meeting as well are my colleagues Astawa and my colleagues Devin, both of whom have really led much of this work in developing our innovation district over the last couple of years. So I wanted to make sure that we share their contact information in the chat for you as well. They are the ones that have really been on the ground working through much of the growth that we have seen. Astawa, if you could put on the next slide, please. Thank you. So as I mentioned, fairly new activity for us. Over the last 2 years, we have really put together a strategy to develop our innovation district. And our vision is to become an international destination for innovation and tech companies to start up, to scale up, and to grow and become major employers in our city. The root of all of this is obviously about creating an innovation ecosystem, but also with a focus on job creation. It is important to the city, to our elected council members, our mayor, that the companies that start in Brampton will stay in Brampton, will become headquartered global businesses from Brampton, but will also help our youthful population stay in the city, find jobs in the city. That is really one of the elements that is important to our council, but also as part of our strategy. COVID obviously had an impact on the growth of our innovation district. And so it is now one of the major cornerstones of our economic recovery strategy. So as Director of Economic Development for the city, led the creation of our economic recovery strategy. And this innovation district is one of the critical pieces. So in the past, many tech companies wanted to relocate to Ontario, which is really Canada's largest province. And the first place people typically look to set up a business was in Toronto or Waterloo. And that's really beginning to change. They are really starting to look at Brampton. And we would like to share with you the work that we did to get to the place that we're at today. Next slide, please, Devin, or excuse me, Astawa, thank you. So we validated the tech scene. This presentation over the next few slides will really show you the partnership that we created with various organizations, the research, and the infrastructure that the city put in place. This was really a city-led endeavor. So the first step was really to validate the tech scene. And we were able to show that there really was an appetite for something like this to be created in Brampton. So in 1 year, we created 40 new tech events with over 5,000 participants coming from all over the Greater Toronto Area, including Toronto, Waterloo, City of Hamilton. We hosted hackathons and robotics competitions. We held tech events, inviting thought leaders and tech professionals in the industry to come and present. This was done also with a focus on youth, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, that we really wanted to promote STEM, the science, tech, engineering, mathematics, opportunities for the youth in the city. Next slide, please. And the second stage to our development was to pilot an innovation space. So we created Brampton's first incubator and co-working space, which was operated by the Entrepreneur Center, and really under the theme of Home of the Hustle. As you can imagine, it's physically a very attractive and funky space to come. And within 1 year, we saw over 400 entrepreneurs subscribe to use that space. It wasn't just the co-working space. They also received business advisory services. There were workshops, there's training, and access to capital. So all the necessary elements for helping businesses within the City of Brampton start. Next slide, please. And then we focused on scaling and partnerships. And we have been, over the last year, negotiating agreements with various partners to really create the infrastructure that was necessary to scale what we had. You might be familiar with Ryerson University. They have created, along with the private sector, the federal Canadian government, and the city, the Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst, which is training cybersecurity talent in the city. They have expanded that to include an accelerator, and they will be launching in the next couple of weeks one of Canada's first cyber ranges in the city as well. We have a new partnership with the Founder Institute. You might be familiar with Sunil Sharma, who has really become a mentor and a champion to us. The RIC Center, the Research and Innovation Center, relocated to be in the Innovation District from one of the neighboring cities. They offer what you can expect, entrepreneurs and residents, really focusing on clean tech and tech companies to help them scale as well. Our latest introduction to the city is the Ryerson Venture Zone. You might be familiar with the Ryerson DMZ, the Digital Media Zone. This is similar to that network and certainly was foundational to help bring much more of the focus, as it is with DMZ, to the city. So that gave us 4 new incubators within 1 year and over 17,000 square feet of entrepreneurial space in the city. And these were all established through partnerships with the City of Brampton, with Astawa and Devon leading the charge. Next slide, please. So this is who we are today. Early stage businesses, early stage partnerships that I mentioned on the previous slide. Then there is available support and space and introductions and access to entrepreneurs and businesses through the later stage partners. And then equally as important to all of this is really the support system in place, the infrastructure and the partnerships that the City of Brampton brings, our Brampton Board of Trade, as well as Algoma University, who has a campus in downtown Brampton as well. We are about to also launch what has been called Beehive, and that is an international soft landing space for international startups to come and set up in the city. We have signed a new partnership agreement with a provider that is designated through Immigration Canada, and we will be bringing international startups through Canada's Startup Visa program to come and set up in the city. We will be focused on a few countries to begin with. The first one is India. The reason for that is there is an incredible connection with Brampton and India, being that 30% of our population is South Asian, and that we have had many successful missions to that country over the last year. and have really seen a lot of interest from startups from India into the city. Next slide, please. And this is a bird's eye view of who we are today. So we began this work about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And this is who we are. I won't walk through all of the points because I think you got much of that from the last few slides. And we really invite corporate Canada right now to become part of our innovation district. I believe one of the speakers in the last panel was speaking about having mentors and entrepreneurs and residents, and that's really where we're focused now as well. We really want to ensure that we have that corporate partnership with Brampton, and we invite all of you to come and see what we have been building, to be a part of what we've been building, and we really welcome international partnerships as well. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present Brampton and our innovation district.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you, Astawa, for sharing what's the ecosystem in Brampton.